This is the next step on how to blind solve the Rubik's Revenge. At this point you should have all your edges and all your corners solved, unless you had your corner parity, in which case these four edge pieces and these two corners should still be unsolved and have to swap with each other. However, you wanted to keep your top centers the way they are. This next part is going to be the absolute hardest part of this tutorial, so please bear with me on this. This is where I teach you commutators. Commutators are going to help you solve all your centers on the cube. But before I get into commutators, I'm going to explain the numbering system for the centers. You start on the top face. Every center has a number on each face. On the top face, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now on the right face, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. That should be your numbering. If you want to number it a different way, go ahead, but this is the numbering I'm going to use to explain it. So, alright, now to go into commutators. Basically what a commutator is, it's an actual mathematical formula. However, on a Rubik's Cube, or a Rubik's Revenge, whatever you're using, it's used to create an algorithm, your own algorithm, that you make up on the spot, and give you a desired outcome. Now, on the 4x4, you can utilize commutators a bit more, because there's more pieces that you can swap with. And it makes it, and actually centers are a lot easier to use commutators on than other pieces because they have orientations. Centers don't. So, okay, before I show you how the commutator works, I'm going to show you the first thing you would do when you memorize. First, you look at the first number, 1 through 24, that needs to be solved. In this case, 1 doesn't need to be solved, but 2 does. So I go to 2. In my memorization process, I think 2. Now where does 2 have to go to? 2 has to go to location 9. And location 9 has to go to location 13. So my first cycle is 2, 9, 13. Okay? This is actually a perfect commutator to do right now. And I will explain why, and I'm going to explain all the different positions. There are 3 main positions that you're going to be presented with. The first one is the easiest, and it's the one I have. We have 3 adjacent faces. Where 3 centers on 3 adjacent faces need to be solved. I'm sorry I didn't explain this. You're going to be performing 3 cycles for your centers. So this way you're going to solve 2 centers at a time, and you're going to cycle through the same center. This way you can solve 2 centers at a time, and it actually speeds it up. There was a way I came up with to solve 1 center at a time. However, the memorization process was about twice as long, and it was not fun. The second position you can be presented with is when you still have to solve 3 centers, but one's on one face, the other's on the opposite face, so like white and yellow, and then any other face. So white, yellow, red could work, even something like green, blue, and white. This as long as there's 2 opposite faces involved. And the last one is when you have maybe 2 centers left on the cube and they're on opposite faces. That's very annoying, but it's possible to get done. So this is what you're going to do. First off, if you have to perform a 3 cycle so far on 3 adjacent faces, listen up because I'm going to explain how it's done. First off, the formula used for commutators is A, B, A prime, B prime, where A and B represent algorithms, A prime, B prime represent the inverse of the algorithm. If you don't know what the inverse of an algorithm is, all it is, it's the algorithm in reverse. So basically, if I did FRU, its inverse is UI, RI, FI. If you perform an algorithm and the algorithm's inverse, the cube should not be affected. Okay? So A and A prime are inverses of each other, and B and B prime are inverses of each other. Okay? The goal of the commutator is to have the 2 algorithms affect each other as little as possible. This way, few pieces are affected. If I did the algorithm U and D, then UI and DI, nothing happens. They affect each other. They don't affect each other at all. So nothing is going to happen. However, if I did like an algorithm like RU and then RIU, and then did the inverse, I'm not going to do it because I don't want to screw up my cube, but if I did the inverse after that, I would affect a lot of pieces on both my faces because both are affecting many pieces. So, depending on how many pieces are affected by both algorithms, determines your outcome. So, for these commutators, we want to affect only these centers, meaning for this commutator we're going to come up with, I already know what it is, but I'm going to explain how I came up with it. For the commutator we're going to come up with, you want both algorithms to only affect, like when both algorithms are performed together, you only want this center, and this center to be affected by both of them. Okay? They all need, so basically, both algorithms need to somehow affect these three pieces. Okay? So, here's what you do. If they're on 3J, before you do the algorithm itself, you have to perform setup moves. Okay? But, alright, so, I'm going to explain a bit more of this. This is very challenging to explain, so bear with me. Okay. If your centers are on 3 adjacent faces, I 100% guarantee that you will not need more than one setup move. You will only need one setup move, okay? You will either, in this case I actually need no setup moves, but if you did need a setup move, it's either going to be UI, RRI, or BBI, because those are the faces that the centers are on, okay? And I 100% guarantee you will only need a maximum of one setup move when they're on 3 adjacent faces, which is why I like this the most. So this is what you're going to do. Basically, you're going to look first to see if there are two centers that can be exchanged through one slice turn. Basically what I mean, if there are two centers that I can simply perform one slice turn to and exchange and have one kind of replace the other. First what I do is I look at 2 and 9. Can they be exchanged through one slice turn? No, they can't, because if I did like this slice turn, here are the two centers. They're not exchanged. Or if I did it the other way, they're not exchanged. These two centers, 13 and 2. If I did a slice turn, although this piece was affected, center 2 and 13 were both affected by the turn, they are not exchanged, because if I perform this turn, if you watch where 13 is, it goes up into location 4. As you see from the front. 1, 2, 3, 4. So technically, they're not exchanged. However, if I perform this slice turn, these pieces are exchanged, because you can see location 9 actually goes in to location 13 through one single slice turn. So that means that is the slice turn that I need to do. Now, algorithm B is always going to be a single slice turn, and that is what it's going to be. Actually, truly, the slice turn is going to be a U-turn, a lowercase U-turn, but I'm not going to explain why, because it's incredibly challenging. Just remember that's what you're going to have to do, and I'm going to explain it further later. So, your first algorithm is always going to be in the order of slice turn, face turn, slice turn, where I'm going to turn one slice, I'm going to perform a face turn of either 1 or 2 turns, and then undo the first slice turn I did. In this case, I'm not going to explain why yet, but I'm just going to show you what it is. In this case, when I want to swap out these centers, put that slice turn up, and turn that slice up, do a 2 U-turn, put the slice down. Alright, that's what it's going to be, and I'm going to show you why. Oh, another thing that you should know for the setup. You look at the exchange. 9 goes to 13, okay? Once you can see that exchange, you have to look at the exchange before. Basically, what center needs to go to 9. 9 needs to go to 13, and you can perform that through the single slice turn. And once you know that, you think, well, what number has to go to 9? 2 does, okay? So I think, okay, where is 2? 2 is, of course, up here. If 2 was in this location, on the same slice as location 9, this algorithm would not work. Your commutator would not work. You need to make sure your centers are set up that you can perform a single exchange, and not only that, before you perform that exchange, you need to make sure that the center before is not on the same slice. So 2 can't be on the same slice as 9 if I'm going to exchange 9 with 13. 13 can't be on the same slice as 2 if I'm going to exchange 2 with 9. I'm not going to do every example, but you need to understand that. So technically this is not a good setup. Neither is this, because they are on the same slice. I'm going to run out of time soon, so I'm going to explain more on commutators in the next video. This is the next part on how to blind solve the Rubik's Revenge. Thanks for watching.